So, my friends, today I was thinking about doing a meditation session because we already learned many hindrances. We learned about 5 hindrances. So, today let's give it a try and try to do meditation. Okay?
Yeah,
For some time. Okay, friends. Now, first let's practice breathing meditation for a few minutes. And when I'm saying sadhu, you can stop your meditation. Please have a relaxed posture. During the breathing meditation, try to hold your body upright. Whenever your mind wanders, bring it back and refocus it to your breathing. See if you can anchor your mind using your attention to your breathing. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, friends, now you can open your eyes. Okay, so now we practiced breathing meditation. Now, my friends, now you might experienced something going on during your meditation. So, can you recognize these things when it arises in your mind? What do you think? Can we understand what's going on in the mind during the meditation? Let's say your mind is not following your breath. Your mind might be like wandering here and there. But can you see this difference with your meditation and uh, with your obstacle?
Definitely.
Yes, that's the most important thing. Okay. So the meditating means it's a verb. So we need to know during our meditations what's happening to us, going on with us, what's what are the things which stops us and keep preventing us. Now we learned there will be only five hindrances which prevent our mindfulness. There is no six or seven or four. There's only five hindrances. According to the teachings, it said that where there is no mindfulness, there will be these five hindrances all together or one of hindrance, which is more powerful. So now we need to know that these five hindrances are specific things which attacking us during our meditation. Before we giving it a remedy, we need to know it as a uh, hindrance or a kind of illness that we need to treat. So there are some antidotes that we can apply if we find the disease, the illness that is there during the meditation. Okay, friends. Now let's remember, okay? What are the hindrances? How many hindrances are there?
5, Bante.
Any one of you can answer. It's okay. Today, I changed uh, the way I'm teaching a little bit. This will be kind of like a discussion. So yes, what are the hindrances? How many hindrances are there?
5.
Five. Yes. And then what is the first hindrance? Can somebody tell me?
Sensual desire.
Sensual desire. Yes, very good. And what is sensual desire?
That the senses,
Let's
like the
check my friend's knowledge on Dhamma. Yes. Say it again.
would that be like the senses, like sight, hearing, that sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly. But you need to explain it a little bit. Not just the sense objects, but we have in our mind something going on during the meditation.
They're negative mental states.
Regarding the sense objects. Is that?
Right. Right.
Yes, yes. Okay,
So
yeah.
they're negative states in your mind regarding the
Yes,
sense objects.
yes. It is only negative during the meditation, I mean, as a hindrance, but usually when we are doing our works, our ordinary life, so we might need to interact with these thoughts. Okay.
So they're only negative during meditation.
Well, I would say that it is attacking our mindfulness, but when it comes to the household life, there is some certain amount of engagement with these things. So we can't like we might want to engage with this, but well, the attitude we need to have regarding these sense objects should be it has a less happiness but more suffering. So that's the attitude that we need to gain towards the sense objects, which is not a kind of a, well, it's not false, but that's how it is. That's the true nature of the sense objects. So this is preventing us our mindfulness. That's what I wanted to um, explain you, like during the breathing. So this is going on in our mind again and again. So
So I was thinking of something came into my mind because on Friday I'm having lunch with a friend. So that was a hindrance. It's positive, but generally, but it's negative when I'm trying to meditate.
well, yeah, that acts as a block to us during not only in our meditations, but it also blocking our peace of mind. Let's say we completely still, our mind is peaceful, but as soon as this kind of a thought land in our mind, it can destroy all that peace of mind. Better or worse, that's how it is. Like, we need to think on these thoughts, but at the same time, it distracts the mind. That's why we need to sit down and separate our time and get away from our worldly things to train the mind, close our eyes, and not listening to music at that time, not eating anything at that time. So we need such a peaceful environment to keep meditating. Why? Because we need to cut off that for a little time because this is already bonded to our like attached to our senses.
Mhm.
So, but once you gain that happiness, it is what also drives you to meditate more because you experience much more higher happiness than those thoughts on sensual pleasures. So then that remembering like, oh, this is a kind of such a joy, happiness that I never had before. So that kind of thinking will fuel up your training and you'll go more advanced stages of concentration.
Oh, I was just gonna say that with the senses, I kind of find that like, say, focusing on the breathing and not having any thoughts is, well, I find something like the loving kindness easier because I'm still using my senses, like I'm listening to it and I can focus on that. But if there's like nothing, I don't find that really that enjoyable. Maybe I haven't been
Well,
practicing
well,
enough.
yeah, okay, okay. Even you have loving kindness. Let's say your mind is concentrated with love, with uh, complete love, and still with such a during that meditation. Let's say you're still with that peace of mind. So we feel so much soothing feeling of because of that love arising in the mind. Even that mind, like when we are doing loving kindness, in that moment, if a thought on sense desire come to your mind, it can break your mindfulness. It can destroy the peace of mind if a thought of sensual desire arise in you, because concentration, stillness, or mindfulness is all we achieve that by abandoning sense desire. Let's say still you have some one thought remaining in your mind while you're meditating on loving kindness, your mind will not still. Why? Because that thought is bothering you, like that sensual desire thought is bothering you to your loving kindness meditation.
That is true.
You need to give up all the five in order to still the mind. You need to give up sensual desire, anger,
Ill will.
sleepiness,
Mm.
anger, yeah, it is ill will, yeah, anger, ill will,
Right.
sensual desire, sleepiness, restlessness, and doubt. You need to abandon these five altogether to still the mind.
Mhm.
Bande, I find that if you focus on a certain meditation, for example, loving kindness or so, you're just redirecting your thoughts instead of fully concentrated on, let's say, the nothingness.
Um, I didn't get it.
You didn't? No, I'm
Yeah.
saying as you concentrate on observing your
Hmm.
body or the loving kindness concentration, loving kindness meditation, you are redirecting your thoughts. So your thoughts are still there quite actively.
Well, what do you think? What is the most powerful, like loving kindness or breathing meditation?
Well, breathing meditation, because I think it leads to higher concentration.
Exactly, exactly. But we can't compare these two because, well, both of them have different flavors. Like you need loving kindness, and you also need like the breathing meditation. But Buddha teach two different benefits of these two meditations. First, he say when if you are doing breathing meditation, it can eradicate all the distractive thoughts. By a simile, he say, imagine that it is the summer, so all the environment is so much dry, so all of a sudden a wind blows, so all the dust will scatter here and there. But after some time, there goes a little tiny drop of rain, so all the dust will be peaceful and settle, and it will be so much um, calm. No matter whatever the wind blows, it will not scatter here and there because of that rain. Now the Buddha say the breathing meditation same as that. When you meditate on breathing, your thoughts will, like the dust is scattered. The thoughts will always like scattered, but when you meditate on breathing, it will come to a rest and it will be so much calm and peaceful. All the thoughts will be settled. Okay? But that is the benefit. Like you will not be distracted by the thoughts, distractive thoughts if you do breathing meditation. But if you were to do loving kindness, you will have loveful thoughts. May I be free from anger. May all the other beings be free from anger. Be free from ill will, jealousy. You have so much compassion towards others. Okay? Yeah, there are two different things. But if you were to achieve stillness from both of these meditations, you need to give up all the hindrances. If there's only one hindrance, it will attack you. But now the Buddha say the most powerful hindrance. What do you think? What is the most powerful hindrance?
Sensual desire.
Detachment. Detachment.
Exactly, exactly. Sensual desire. That thought on sense object is what stops all our peace of mind. So it is such a powerful thing.
Bante, you were absolutely right by saying the two are not really the same, the breathing versus, for example, the loving kindness. However, I believe that most people go out to meditate by observing or by controlling their breath. By not, we should come to the point where we don't do breathing yoga, but let the breath take us wherever it wants us to wherever it wants to take us.
Yeah, I think what you have to do is to keep focusing to your breath because it won't stop. It's always going on. So your mind will, like your meditation, what you are building, like what you are creating during meditation, will not collapse because the breathing is always going on. So all you need to do is to keep coming back to your breath. At some point, you will feel some enjoyment because your mind will not go to the thoughts of sense pleasures. It will stop that and it will start to follow it. But we don't know when it will happen because it depends with the strength of the sense desire. That's why some of the times there are days like we enjoy so much sensory experiences, and in that day when we are going to meditate, it's kind of difficult, isn't it?
Mhm.
Have you find such occasions?
Definitely.
Let's say I'm listening to a song, and then after some time, after finishing the listening to the song, I'll start to meditate. But I can't do that. Why? Because sense desire is increased. But
Your
there are
mind
days
is
like,
occupied.
yeah, let's say in a day like I spend most of my time in my home, my monastery, so I don't go much of outside. So then it's more easier to meditate because less scattered thoughts. But if the mind is one pointed, when a thought like that arises in us, so it can stop that peace of mind. It can distract the mind. Okay, sense desire. What is the next hindrance?
Ill will.
Helen, what is the next hindrance?
Ill will.
Oh,
Is that ill will?
Yes.
Anger.
Yeah.
Anger.
Yes, anger or ill will. Yes, yes. Um, how do you deal with ill will if that is acting as a hindrance to your meditation? What do you do then?
as it arises, you push it away. You don't let it come to the upper surface.
How do
If
you
ill will,
experience
I
ill
don't
will?
really. Sorry, Pandey, I don't really believe in ill will. If we practice loving kindness, Buddhism, and so on, ill will. I don't know. It's something. To me, it's a foreign word. I don't think I
Um,
would let ill will arise. That's where you stop it,
okay,
right?
So you
let's
never
ask
you
for
never get
someone.
angry? You never get
I
angry, Matthew?
I think I do. Anger has very many interpretations. I mostly get angry at myself, I guess. No, but anger is fine.
That's
But I
it.
mean, but
Yeah.
ill
Have
will
you
is
ever had, yeah, have you ever had this kind of a feeling when you're meditating, you might resist with the breath. That is ill will.
Oh.
say it again. You
Let's
combine.
say, oh, why this doesn't work? Why this I can meditate? Why my leg is painful? Why
Mhm.
I have backache? Why
Well,
my mind is not still? These are resistance. This is arising from the anger, and we talked about this. Like it manifests into like higher levels. Thus, it prevents us mindfulness. So it can be very subtle in the depth of the mind. It can be so subtle where it arises. But if we don't pay attention and don't put any remedy, it can develop furthermore. And well, sometimes people I know like gave up all the meditations. I can't meditate. I don't want meditations. They couldn't understand that was ill will. That was that was the angry root.
Yes, but the ill will is, in my opinion, ill will is a planned evil deed, if you will. Ill will, anger arises. You sometimes don't have the ability to control it, but to ill will is something that you think to get back at somebody or to wish somebody ill will.
That's why we need to understand these Buddhist terms, if possible, in Pali, and we need to get more closer to the exact meaning because when we translate it to English, it can change the definition, like it can change the way the people feel it. But still, I say that ill will is like wanting to get rid of something. Like, yeah, that's same with the meditations. We experience that. Can somebody else have such an experience?
I was just thinking back on the teaching of the mark of repulsion.
Yes.
And when you get angry, it starts with anger, but the more you fuel the anger, then you have resentment, you have all kinds of other ill will facets, as you will. And so what Manfred was just saying, and then because you reach that mark of repulsion of hatred, you can exert that in your actions. So it starts with a mentalization of anger and thought, and it can manifest further after mark of repulsion. I don't know if that sounds
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's how it works. Like, do you remember that we learned it is according to some conditions? The mark of attractive, mark of repulsion, and giving it a careless attention. Now, all together, to all the hindrances, there is from our side there is a frequent uh, giving of the irrational thinking or careless attention. So we are giving that such a attention. So all of these situations has a underlying thinking, like unskillful thinking in us. Like let's say we were to see a beautiful thing. So because of that unwise thinking, we catch those marks and then start to ponder that later brings sense desire. And or let's say at some point we somebody might like criticize us, so then we catch that object as a repulsion and we give the same continuous unwise irrational thinking to that, and then increases the ill will. And again, when we are feel lazy, when we are having food right after having food, or when we see some climate sometimes. So we might think like unwise attention to this and the sleepiness increases. And there might be some things which brings us restlessness and we gives unwise attention and it brings us this increase of restlessness. And the doubt too. It also has some things which makes us doubt and we give it a careless attention. So it increases. Now, all together, all of these situations has our ongoing thinking attached together, which create the hindrance alive. So hindrance will be so much powerful. Well, if the times when we not meditate, our mind is thinking about one of the hindrance. What do you think?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like I was thinking like when I'm reading the Buddhist books and also some books on psychology, so I was thinking like how these two resonate. Like, because I don't have much knowledge on psychology, but I learned like some Buddhist terms. But when all of a sudden I encountered with the sutta where the Buddha say, in the household life, these five hindrances act like uh, mental health problems, like mental health issues, like that creates our mental problems, mental issues. These five hindrances. Well, you might think like, well, sensual desire, is it really a mental health problem? No, not at all. But I mean, like, we don't need the part like following and chasing us and telling us like, go and take that, bring that, enjoy that. Like, we don't need such a like this train of thoughts bothering us. What we need is stillness. Like, okay, I'll tell you a story. One day, there was a monk. Uh, he ordained, like he came to the Buddha, and he was a prince at the palace. Okay, so this prince came to the Buddha and said, "My Lord, I want to become a monk." Okay, so the Buddha gave him the monk life. Now he went to a root of a tree and sat down, and he's meditating. Okay, somehow he became enlightened. Okay, in the forest. Now he always uttering, "Oh, such a happiness! Oh, such a happiness! Oh, such a happiness!" Okay. Now all the other monks around him heard this, like while meditating, he is telling such a happiness. Why? Why is he selling such happiness? So the monks, some of the monks judged, okay, he might thinking about his past life experiences. He might thinking about the enjoyment at the palace. That's why he's telling like such a happiness. He's remembering that sense pleasure he had in his palace. So some of the monk went to the Buddha and informed the Buddha, "Buddha, do you know the new monk who came to the monk life? And while he's meditating, he's seeing such a happiness. He's remembering that past uh, sensual pleasures. Buddha, you should like guide him. He should not think of this. He should meditate." So then Buddha said, "Okay, then ask him to come and visit me." So this monk went to the Buddha and visited him. And Buddha asked, "Is that true, monk, that you are thinking about sense pleasures during your meditation? The happiness and enjoyment you had in your palace, is that true?" Usually that's how the Buddha solved the problems. Let's say somebody were to tell him, he don't believe that, okay, this should be true, so I should take an action. Usually he asks both of the both people, like both of the person to come and visit him. And he asks in front of them, "Is that true you're saying?" So then the Bhante said, this prince, the Bhante said, "Buddha, when I was in palace, I was always protected. I had thousands of soldiers, armies. I had horses, elephants. They are all together protecting me. And Bante, when I was in the palace, even in my bedroom, there are people like soldiers like protecting me. When I'm going to eat the food, there are soldiers protecting me. And I had the finest clothes. I had so much respect. People respect me. I had so much delicious food, and I can enjoy myself seeing the beautiful women and listening to music and listening to drums and beats. But Bante, I never had happiness in my life. I always frightened. Even during the sleep, I wake up frightened. Will somebody invade my country and take my happiness? Bante, I was so sad and so much stressed that somebody might put poison into my food. I couldn't enjoy that happiness. So even I was like protected all the more that I had so much terrifying feelings. All of a sudden I encountered with scary thoughts. But Bhante, while I'm meditating, my mind was still. I had such a great happiness that arising in me like a fountain of water that keeps soothing me. That stillness, I experienced that. So I don't have any greed, I don't have any anger, I don't have any fear now. I eradicated those unskillful thoughts. So because of this, it is a joyful utterance. It naturally pops up in my heart and comes from my mouth. Such a happiness, such a happiness. I was thinking about the happiness of this enlightenment, this peace of mind. That's why I was saying that. I feel, Bante, I feel like I'm a deer. A deer is going in the forest where it take water where it wants, and it go and sleep under a tree, and is so peaceful and so independent. So it goes wherever it wants, so peaceful, so relaxing, so satisfying. So I feel like I'm a deer. Like I have such a enjoyment in me. So that's why I uttered that. So the Buddha say, monk, you should not disrespect this enlightened Bhante. Ask for forgiveness. Um, yes. Now,
Can I just say, so did he, in terms of the ill will, which you said was
yeah.
wanting to get rid of something, so is he able
Mhm.
to abandon the sense desire of ill will so that, and that's why he reached this point of um, um, peace, peacefulness? Because you said
You
ill
mean,
will is
yeah,
in Pali
yeah,
means wanting to get rid of something. It's not anger.
Right.
yes.
It's the wrong word for English, but in Pali, if we had another word in English, which we don't, so is that what happened in that situation?
The reason why I said that it is not anger is because like it's a will wanting to get rid of that. But it start from anger root, like it is called dosa. It start from angry root. It is a defilement that increase its power into ill will and wanting to get rid of some experience. Let's say somebody were to talk to us like in a bad way, so we want to get rid of that. I don't need to listen to this. So that is the ill will. But it started from angry root. From the very beginning, it was anger. But let's say you don't have anger, you don't have that root. So you don't have any wanting to get rid of that experience by being uh, ill will, because that lost our path. So you might think like, isn't that so? Then how should one work with their self-defense? So if you want to protect you, don't you protect you? So you jump into that situation where it's threatening you? No, it this is kind of a well, well, resistance should not like the self-defense should not start with ill will. What do you
Actually,
think?
Bande, in a way you explained it before. Anger is, in my opinion, at least, and I think that's what you said. It's always irrational. It just arises. You get angry at somebody, what somebody said, and so on. Whereas ill will, you actually are pre-planning. Ill will you think about. This is what I'm going to do to him. That's what I'm going to say to him. That's what I'm going to do. So I think the root anger is a little far fetched. I don't believe it's the root of ill will. Alan, do you
Well,
agree with that?
I don't see that ill will, like the way you're describing it, it sounds
Yes.
like revenge.
It sounds like what?
It
Sorry.
sounds like revenge.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, but I don't think in Pali that's what it means. Am
Bande,
am I wrong,
it's
Bhante?
revenge. Is it revenge? Is it pre-planned hurting somebody, or doing something negative, or
Um,
Bante, is it not ill will creates agitation and prevents inner peace? As simple as that?
ill will doesn't increase um, peace of mind. It increases like agitation. It increases stress. But well, do you
Prevents.
remember that
Yeah.
during that discussion we learned that it is like a tree. If let's say there's a tree, okay? Let's say there's a tree. So now the tree has fruits and it has fruits and flowers. Now the root of that tree is the anger, which nourishes entire tree and gives the fruits and the flowers. But the revenge is the flower or the fruit. But it started with anger.
oh yeah,
But you can say this tree is
yeah,
ill will. So the outcome of ill will is the revenge.
yes, yes, you're right.
Oh,
Outcome of the ill will is the revenge, but it started from the root of anger.
Yes,
Can you
you're
understand?
yes,
Okay.
you're right. You're right. You get angry, and therefore you're planning revenge. So
Yeah,
your ill will increases.
try to like when you're going to understand the teaching, have a fresh mind. Like, don't mix up all these teachings with your preconceptions, like things that you heard before, or like, because even the language can barrier the
Yes,
understanding of the Buddhist teachings. Now, yeah, this is the problem. This is why I started this program. Why?
sadhu,
Yeah,
sadhu,
Good
sadhu.
idea.
yeah, yeah, it's a good idea. Why? Because we wanted to understand the teachings according to the Buddha's way.
Yes,
Mhm. Yeah.
Because if we need good fruits, good results, good attainments, we need to go back to the Buddha's own words. I don't know whether it is called Buddhism or philosophy or religion. I don't know, whatever. I don't care. It's not a problem for me. Whether it's a religion or a philosophy or anything else, what I want is to take you to this ancient wisdom and to see if there is something to get towards us. Like if there is is there something that work for our pain, our suffering? Yeah,
so
Helen.
do you have can you give an example? Like in that example with the prince, was there any ill what was which hindrance was he able to
Okay.
abandon in that particular
He
story?
had all the hindrances. He had all the hindrances
Okay,
before
Google.
his
What
enlightenment.
time is it?
He was
9:26
yeah,
p.m.
but he was not thinking about his past enjoyment at the palace. He never had he never had sense desire there. No ill will, no sleepiness, no doubt. He never had restlessness. He uttered joyful utterances because of the enjoyment he had inside that is coming from still mind. Because his mind is still, it is not sense desire. There is a happiness beyond sense desire. There is a happiness apart from sense pleasures.
Mm.
There's a happiness better than sense pleasures.
So is that why he was able to reach enlightenment so quickly? Because he was able to
Yes,
abandon all the five hindrances.
yes. Otherwise, he will still attach to the sense desire. He will enjoy, he will fantasize the thoughts and keep on this mental fantasy in the mind, and as an outcome, the mind will be so much restless, and he will live with that.
Mm-hmm.
But he thought, well, I need to give it a try. I need to meditate. I should, yeah. Like, do you remember that he said to the Buddha, like, even when I was in the middle of the pleasures, I was so scared.
Yeah.
Will this gonna be finished? Will this gonna be take away from me?
Barbara Linehan she was a Buddhist monk, but she was a psychotherapist, and she also wrote
Hmm.
dialectical behavior therapy. And when addressing anger, sometimes I think it can be confusing how to address anger, because if we think about our anger and think to ignore it or to push it down, it can actually become self-deprecating and you could fall into depression. So
Yes.
the task with anger is always, what is the primary emotion to anger is fear, and understanding that there is a connection to your anger because you're afraid of something. And then the next step that I take is to observe, well, why am I angry? What am I afraid of? The other thing is, anger is a useful, like, I don't see emotion as good or bad in my world. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I see anger as a useful tool when when you don't exert it through ill will, but when anger is seen as someone has crossed a boundary with me, no, and then addressing, going back to myself, what am I fearing? Oh, I'm fearing that somebody is going to talk bad about me. Okay, well, what does that mean? And that means nothing in the end, because in the end, your happiness cannot be stolen if you are free from those things and that way of thinking. Does that make sense? Did I make sense?
Yes, it did. Yeah. Um, do you see, like, even we need to abandon anger, the mind has attachment to it. But we can't do that, like, without having a straightforward attitude, without having a strong will. I don't want anger. We can't abandon anger, like, because there is a little bit of enjoyment in the anger that mind want to keep it with us. Like, let's say I get anger, but I try to abandon anger, but the anger itself justify, well, I need to be with you. Like, I don't want to go away because, yeah, that's that's lack of mindfulness. I remember once when I was young, I watched a television series, like, it was about, like, people, like, especially the people in the prison. They talk with the interviewer. So this prison person, like, this prisoner said, the interviewer asked from him, like, do you have something in your, do you have something to tell us? So this interviewer say, well, I have one thing to tell you. Like, whenever you get angry, look around. What do you have? What are the things around you? Why? Because he got anger and he never had a will to harm any being, but he got anger. He grabbed, because of the anger, he grabbed a stick and hit a person closer to him, and that person was died because of that hitting. Like, he say, whenever you get angry, look what is around you. So that is, he said, that is what I have to tell you. Like, he's regretting his entire life about that act because of his anger. Now he went out of control because of his anger. Like because of that powerful anger, it stopped, it clouded, and it darkened his entire mind. Like he never know what he's doing. But later he regretting, oh, I shouldn't have think what I have around me. Like why I did that. So he went like dark and blind with that anger. So here I don't say we need to react in a way of anger to solve that problem
Yeah.
because we don't need to lost our way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
What
That's
we need, yeah,
Bhante, we
if we
talk
have mindfulness, if we are very good with abandoning anger as soon as it arising in us, if we have such a power developed in us, so the mindfulness will open up much more space and much more capacity in you before doing something. Like we will think, well, I want to do this, but do I really act this way? Will that increase the anger in between us? Or do I have any other option? So we need that. We don't need anger.
well, anger
We
is
need that.
useful, right?
Um,
It's a useful emotion. It's an emotion that's alerting us that something
no,
has happened.
no, it's a major defilement.
it is not anger, like
No,
something
I
is,
disagree.
yeah,
I feel that anger is it's a way of recognizing what is it in you that you are fearing, but it also can help act in a positive way. Like if someone's hurting my
but can
child,
you handle, okay, can you handle the anger?
yes,
Like,
someone's hurting my
can you
child, for
handle,
example.
yeah, can you handle your anger according to your wish? Well, this is enough anger. I don't need more anger. I need only little anger. I don't need increased anger. Can you control that anger? No. You
But
can like, yeah, that's the problem. Like if we ever have such a, like if we give it a chance, it can increase, but self-defense is something different. It's mindfulness. I would say that it is mindfulness. Like mindfulness means we don't have anger.
but we are totally getting away from the hindrances of meditation now. And there are three more hindrances. We have
Again,
talked
yeah,
about
again,
major defilements.
yeah.
We haven't talked about
Anyway, yeah.
restlessness.
Uh,
We haven't talked about taper and sloth.
Often
And
told.
those are more important in our way to meditation. And
but yeah,
that brings
what
up
I want to, yeah, excuse me, what I want to clarify is that don't give any hindrance even a little chance. If you justify that hindrance, you can't you you can't develop mindfulness because that's how it entered you. That's how it enters you. Don't worry, you will not suffer. This is your own mind. Didn't I taught you the meditation? Like didn't I taught you the verses from a enlightened Bhante that he's talking to himself like mind? You told me that you should meditate, but why you don't meditate? Like the mind is deceiving us. We don't need that. We don't need to be deceived by the mind. That's one point. Like we deceived by the mind when we get anger, when we get. Uh, um, I was so much deceived by sleepiness. Like the mind tells, well, go sleep. Why do you meditate? Go sleep. But I found it like whenever that I became like I stopped thinking about the sleepiness. Then I started to meditate and I developed mindfulness. Whenever I have, uh, whenever I stopped sleepiness, we will have these problems up until the day that we'll experience this stillness. Then you will see, then you will compare, oh, I have now much more higher happiness than sense desire, than anger, than the sleepiness, than this restlessness and doubt. So I
That's out.
experienced that.
Mm.
That's why this monk, the prince, was uttered joyful utterance, such a happiness, because he was giving commands to the people to stop robberies, to stop crime. He was giving commands by out of like ill will, maybe. And he was having so much beauty and so much beautiful things, but he compared this to happiness and he said, well, I have inner peace. That's what brings me joy. Um, yeah, let's finish the discussion. I'm sorry, it's 8:41.
Excellent
Um,
discussion. Thank you.
yeah, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.